And now I would like to talk about commas. This portion of the lesson is from Grammarly. Commas. In your paragraphs, I was pretty annoyed at how many of you don't use commas well. So let's review. There are a bunch of points. 1. You use a comma when you make a list, of course. If the list is just 2 things, you don't use a comma. For example, I prefer oranges and mangoes. When a list is 3 items or more, you use a comma. I prefer oranges, mangoes, and pineapples. The last comma in a list is optional, but it's nice for clarity. 2. You use a comma with an adverbial phrase. For example, when it comes to fruit, I prefer oranges and mangoes. That little phrase at the start is not a full sentence, so we use a comma to attach it to our main sentence. 3. You use a comma with an interrupter. For example, I prefer oranges and, wait for it, mangoes. Interrupters are fun, but don't overuse them. It's kind of like too many mangoes will make you puke. Here's another example. Mesa, unlike Cheyenne, is very organized. A nice little interrupter. 4. Use commas with a question tag. If you were born in the 1900s in Britain, this is how you would talk. Mesa is very organized, isn't she? That's a question tag. A more modern example would be, I know, right? 5. Use a comma with a direct address to another person. Mom, I can't find my shoes. And what are you up to today, Mr. Mark? 6. Use a comma when you quote someone. Mr. Mark said, don't repeat yourself too much in your peels. 7. Use a comma with dates. For example, it said that Sunday, May 12, 1968, was an important day. Lots of commas there. 8. Use a comma when you have multiple adjectives describing something. The sweet, scintillating aroma of cinnamon buns filled the kitchen. Another one is, that person is a pompous, annoying movie star. 9. Use a comma with words like but if you are joining 2 independent sentences. For example, Bennett is a good singer, but he is an even better dancer. Here, Bennett is and he is tell us that these are 2 independent sentences or clauses. If that's not the case, don't use the comma. Like in this example, my teacher is tough but fair. No comma. 10. Use a comma with the word which, but not with the word that. For example, Starbucks, which Arjun recommended, is a fantastic cafe. And in contrast, the place that Arjun recommended is a fantastic cafe. No comma. In your writing, you will sometimes use which and that to clarify things. Which is for optional information, and that is for mandatory or necessary information. That's why it uses no comma. There are a lot of other rules, but this is a good chunk of them. If you use commas too little, it's really hard to read your stuff. If you use commas too much, your sentences run on for too long and have no breather. So use them just enough.